What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today we're diving into the Apple TV Plus original movie Palmer, directed by Fisher Stevens and starring Justin Timberlake, Ryder Allen, and Alisha Wainwright. Now, when I first heard of this movie, when it popped onto my radar a couple of weeks ago, I was really excited to sit down and watch this film, if not only because Justin Timberlake has been very good in past performances, not only in Inside Llewyn Davis, but guys, I've loved him since Alpha Dog, and he did a very good job in The Social Network. So I think Justin Timberlake has the chops, and I was really curious to see if he would nail it with this lead role in Palmer. Now, before I tell you whether or not the movie does work for me, if it's your first time here at the channel, guys, welcome to Real James, where I talk about movies early just like this all the time. So if you don't want to miss out on any reviews and reactions, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and tap on the bell so you don't miss out on anything new. We got my WandaVision reaction dropping on Friday, and I cannot wait for next week. There's going to be so much to talk about. We got Golden Globe nominations, we got Oscars coming up. It's going to be a very fun time here at the channel. And if you haven't already, guys, go ahead and smash that like button and get loud in the comments and let me know what you think of this film when you see it. Did you enjoy it? Did it work for you, or did it not? Now, if you don't know much about the movie, it's okay. It's a very bare bones kind of film, and it's not hard to really understand the direction in which the film is heading. An ex-convict named Eddie Palmer is trying to make his way back into the world after serving time for attempted murder, and he eventually strikes up an uncanny friendship with a boy named Sam from a troubled home right next door to him. It really is a coming-of-age film, both for Justin Timberlake's character and for Ryder Allen's character. He plays Sam. Now, we'll talk all about both of these actors, but let's get right into what really makes this movie work. Now, this story with Palmer is ripe for a heartfelt moments, and if you know me, I'm a softie, and I definitely had my heartstrings tugged at in some scenes in this movie, and that's due in large part to Ryder Allen, who plays Sam. He's a small boy who's just trying to make it in the world like everyone else. He's gay, and he does not actually get accepted by even his classmates, but there is one man who decides to say, you know what? No, I'm going to take responsibility for this boy, and that is Justin Timberlake's character Palmer. And that's when I think the film starts to hit its stride in the second act, when we focus more on these two and their relationship together. And I'm not sure if I'm in the minority by saying this, but Ryder Allen turns out to be the best actor in this film. He even outshines Justin Timberlake, and I thought, okay, this is Justin Timberlake's movie, but it turns out to be Ryder Allen's. He's just so darn likable, and he really is the glue that holds the film together. The movie's theme of acceptance is highlighted through Sam. And honestly, if it wasn't for Ryder Allen bringing the great performance that he did, I think Palmer would have been way worse than it turned out to be. Now, there are some cool supporting actors here. The one that is the best in this film is Alisha Wainwright, who plays Miss Maggie, Sam's teacher, and eventually, well, I'll let you find out that one on your own. But she does a very good job at kind of balancing Palmer, and I really do like the fact that the film highlights her, especially towards the end, because she is a very good actress. So we got a couple of solid performances. What else? Well, I do appreciate that director Fisher Stevens toned down the story, and it is very bare bones by nature. The second half of the film is actually when things start to click every now and then, only because the movie isn't afraid to dive into what makes it really good, and that is just highlight the relationship between Sam and Palmer, allow them to grow from one another. And actually, Sam brings out a lot more emotion in Justin Timberlake's character that I was hoping to see for the majority of the first half of the movie. But outside of all of those positives, guys, I just don't think Palmer is as good as it should have been. The story is pretty surface level, and honestly, it is bland for the most part. I actually felt like I was going in and out of scenes and just not really feeling impacted as much as I probably should have been. The writing definitely could have been more layered, and it's very surface level. Again, it's not one of those movies that's going to make you sit down and think, and unfortunately there are a lot of cliched story beats that we've seen before. The plot to this movie does feel very similar, and I was hoping that the acting of Justin Timberlake kind of break that norm that we're used to seeing with movies like this, but unfortunately, guys, I just don't necessarily think that the dialogue was all that convincing. The conversations were a little redundant. I don't know. I feel like the movie was very routine. It was going in and out, like I said, of scenes without it having much lasting power. The script here really is the biggest drawback, and it should, again, feel very layered. But instead, we're just going through the motions. And I definitely think Justin Timberlake could have brought a stronger performance, because his portrayal as Palmer here, guys, we know he has the chops. I mentioned it earlier, but I just don't think he works for me in this role. He's always very brooding, and while his character has a certain arc that allows him to grow over time, he's just uninteresting. Even early on in the movie, I was scratching my head because things are happening around Palmer and he's not necessarily reacting to it. He's just there. He's hardly showing much emotion in his face, and maybe the script did call for him to be very serious all of the time, but even when the movie calls for him to show some emotion, sometimes it worked, but most times it was a miss for me. So his character just is a little shallow, and honestly, he just feels like a placeholder, and that's not what I expected from this character and from this performance. So Ryder Allen outshining him is not the worst thing, but Justin Timberlake didn't bring the acting that we've seen in Inside Llewyn Davis, in The Social Network, and even in Alpha Dog. I do wish Justin Timberlake didn't hold back as much as he did, and I also wish that director Fisher Stevens held a more consistent tone with this movie. Sometimes you can tell when he hits his groove, but then there are other times where the movie just kind of chugs along. I can tell you that there are a lot of filler moments here which feel like wasted opportunities to regain that spark that we see at times with Ryder Allen and Justin Timberlake. When this movie focuses on being small and giving the spotlight to Justin Timberlake and Ryder Allen, and when they can execute together, that's when the film is at its strongest, whether they're at a diner trying root beer floats for the first time together, or if they're celebrating a birthday party. That to me was really where the film works the best, but it's everything else that makes this movie feel very samey. So overall, you guys, Palmer is a very middle of the road kind of film. It does present good performances from Ryder Allen and Alisha Wainwright, but when the movie bills Justin Timberlake as the lead, he should be the one that I'm talking about and praising, but instead, he fell flat. And if it wasn't for Justin Timberlake's performances in movies like The Social Network, I would think, okay, maybe he doesn't have it, but he has the chops. It really is the writing in this film. It is very familiar. The story beats feel the same, and guys, this is a movie that we've seen before. You can predict pretty much exactly what happens as you get into the second half of this movie. So I needed a little bit more from Palmer, a movie that should have been very good for me because, guys, I am a sucker, again, for emotional stories like this. But I just think that the movie's uninteresting at times, and it falls into this weird funk where you start to not remember scenes because they just all blend together. And I didn't want that from Palmer. I was hoping it would be much better than it was, but it really is just one of those movies that, if you watch it, okay. If not, you don't have to really rush to go see this on Apple TV+. So Palmer really is one of those 3-star out of 5 type of films, and I wanted much more from Justin Timberlake. I know he can do it, I just think he needs a better script. So guys, there you have it. That's my real review of Palmer, a movie that honestly you should watch for Ryder Allen alone, but don't come thinking that Justin Timberlake's going to give you an awards-worthy performance. Guys, I need to know what you think about this film though, so get loud in the comments below and let's have a conversation about this movie. And if you haven't, smash that like button and hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 5,000 subscribers and it's all because of you. Alrighty guys, well you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go listen to the 2020 Experience. That album is still so good. Guys, thank you so much again for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.